have to stop you there. I think we've got the Deputy First Minister on the line.
Yes, indeed. Martin McGuinness joins us on the line. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Karen.
I'll just ask, first of all, for your reaction then to the resignation of the Prime Minister, David Cameron.
Well, I've been on RTE this morning and I predicted before he spoke that his days were numbered, and they are. It doesn't come as any surprise to me that he will resign and that there will be a new British Prime Minister. I think the whole idea from the get-go of a referendum was a disaster, and over the course of the last year or so, on a number of occasions I said that what he was effectively doing was sleepwalking towards an exit. He has kowtowed to the right-wing agenda, the little Englander mentality that's in England, and they have seen a situation where the people in the north have rejected that agenda, and the people of the north, thankfully, voted to remain part of the EU. So there is an onus on the British government to respect the democratic wishes of the people of the north, and we in Sinn Féin will now be seeking to engage urgently with the EU institutions to examine the proposed impact on the north, which I think will be very profound. We are in uncharted waters.
And in the meantime, you've called for a border poll. You've already been criticised for being opportunistic.
Well, the British government has no democratic mandate to represent the views of the north in any future negotiations with the European Union. And I think there is a democratic imperative for a border poll. I think the fact that we have seen a situation where 56% of the people of the north, who were unionists and nationalists and Republicans, voted together to stay in Europe, further strengthens the case for a border poll. This result will have very profound implications for us. And yes, given we are in a two-party coalition with the DUP supported by Claire Sugden as an independent and a Justice Minister, we do have a duty and a responsibility to work our way through the huge challenges that we're going to face in the time ahead, not least the economic challenges in terms of our ability to attract foreign direct investment against the backdrop of this decision, and the very real danger that some of the successes that we had over the course of recent years in attracting foreign direct investment could effectively possibly depart our shores.
Well, on that,
we no longer represent a near-shore location for them into Europe.
The Prime Minister, when he was making that resignation speech, did say that the government would be seeking the full engagement of Northern Ireland's party representatives to protect all parts of the UK in these exit negotiations. What is Stormont's contingency plan for this eventuality?
Well, in the first instance, I listened carefully to what he had to say, and he was making it clear that he wasn't going to be part of that negotiation about the future. That will effectively be the responsibility of the new British Prime Minister whenever he or she arrives in the autumn. So it's very difficult for a devolved administration to have contingency plans against the backdrop of so many unknowns out there, unknowns in relation to the attitude of that British government.
So aren't there any currently? There is no contingency plan?
There is no contingency plan because I think everybody was working on the basis that people would see sense and would recognise the importance of voting to remain. But even if you had a contingency plan, what contingency plan can deal with the amount of unknowns which are out there in relation to the fact that there's going to be a new British government, and who knows what attitude the institutions of the European Union are going to adopt to the devolved administration. So, it's very difficult for Scotland and for us in the north of Ireland, who have overwhelmingly voted to remain with Europe. They have contingency plans against the backdrop of the reality that we are in uncharted waters.
Deputy First Minister, it's John Campbell, the economics editor. Can I just ask, in terms of what Stormont's priorities are going to be, because there's going to be a looming trade negotiation where the UK has to sort out its relationships with Europe and the rest of the world. What are Northern Ireland's priorities in that, and how will you seek to influence those negotiations?
Well, our priority is to ensure that whatever decisions are taken in the time ahead allows us to continue to develop our economy, to provide jobs for our young people, to ensure that we continue to move away from the austerity agenda that has been so damaging for all of us and which obviously played a part in David Cameron's downfall. And also a priority for us has to be, we had people coming here prior to the referendum predicting that the outcome of this would put the peace process at risk. Well, it's our job as politicians to ensure that we work together, both on the economy and on ensuring that we continue with what is widely acknowledged as one of the most successful peace processes in the world today. So even though the DUP and Sinn Féin were on different sides of the argument, and we were on the one side in relation to the views of the people of the North, we will have to work with the DUP in a responsible, positive and constructive way to deal with the fallout from this vote, which I think has been a very bad vote for us in the North, and indeed for the whole island of Ireland.
Deputy First Minister, I travelled to the United States with you and the First Minister earlier this year, where you were out beating the drum for the reduction in corporation tax. The people you were talking to out there, the potential investors, what did they say to you about how a Brexit might affect their plans?
Well, every mission that Peter Robinson and I went on in the United States, and of course we were hugely successful at a time of a world economic downturn and attracting more foreign direct investment jobs than any other time in the history of the state. And we had access to some of the most powerful CEOs in the world. It always came up, the issue of the prospect of an exit from Europe. And it came up in the context, I think, that people would be less interested in investing in the North if they were to exit Europe. So, you know, whenever we are employed in the task of trying to attract foreign direct investment against the backdrop, for example, of a lower rate of corporation tax, all of that is hugely challenging now, given that, you know, I don't even know if some of those companies that came here during that successful period of attracting them are going to stay here, because we for many of them, may not have a very great appeal in relation to us being a near-shore location for a jump-off into the European Union.
So you're saying you think investors currently here could pull out?
No, I'm saying that we're in uncharted waters. I don't know what views multinational companies which did come here over the course of recent years will adopt to this decision. And I don't know what impact this decision will have on the prospects of us being able to attract further foreign direct investment, principally from the United States of America. And I listened during the course of the debate to all sorts of politicians talking about, you know, the European Union isn't as important as access to the BRIC companies, for example, other world trade markets. The reality is that we do our greatest trade with the European Union. And if people think that the trade with our companies and other countries throughout the world will compensate for what could be a loss of engagement and trade through increased tariffs and so forth to the European Union, I think they're living in cloud cuckoo land, to tell you the truth.
OK, there we're going to have to leave it. Deputy First Minister Martin McGuinness, thank you for joining us. The time 8:40.